What's the word, people? You know what it is. It's your boy Big Will. We're back. Another controversial episode. Life After Prison TV. We're gonna watch this video and react to it. Let me know what you think. If you've been there, if you've been in prison, if you've been locked down before, and you've had the pleasure, shall we say it, of joining the whole segregation, whatever you want to call it. It's not fun, but let's listen to what they're trying to do on Rhode Island.
Tonight, a Target 12 investigators exclusive inside solitary. Imagine being locked alone in a prison cell, 23, sometimes 24 hours a day for weeks, months, even years.
There's some places that give you the opportunity to have a cellmate, depending on the facility, depending on what you did. But don't get it wrong. You know, it's designed to keep you there longer than you should be. Let's listen.
Segregation destroyed people inside. Your mind, you're not the same. I'm not the same.
Opponents say confinement makes prisoners even more dangerous when they're done serving their time.
But prison officials tell us it's a necessary tool to keep the prison safe and say it's not the Hollywood depiction of the whole that you may be picturing. Target 12 investigator Tim White got exclusive access inside segregation units at the ACI. He's here now with what he's...
It is, though. It is. It's the same thing as it's depicted in the movies. You know, segregation was used in war crimes, right? For prisoners of war. You capture someone in war, someone that you're trying to take your life, and you put them in the hole with nothing. With nothing. You put them in a hole. And then you give them their meal 3 times a day. You know, when you're locked down in segregation, you don't get your canteen. You don't get your radio. Some facilities you get a TV. You can't get your TV. You can get a Bible. They don't give you no writing utensils to write home to people because they think that you're going to kill yourself with a pen, or you're going to try to make a weapon for when the COs come to take you out to wreck an hour a day. And it's every other day. One day you get a shower, the next day you get wreck. Next day you get a shower, next day you get wreck. The days that you get a shower, you go into the shower, you don't get an hour in the shower. You get a 10-minute shower. They cuff you, bring you back in. So if you decide that day to go out to wreck, you have your freedom, right? But the next day, if you choose a shower, which when you're sitting in the hole, you got no fan. You can't get your fan. So you're hot and you sweat. You know, so you're forced to take bird baths in the sink. And some people choose, you know, oh, I'll skip rec today because it's raining. And so now you're locked down 2-3 days. Because they don't take you outside and put you in a weathered dog cage. And you're going in a dog cage. You're going in a little 7x9 chained in fenced area to get adequate exercise? No.
What he said?
You may not have a lot of sympathy for inmates put into segregation for breaking prison rules, but some question whether the controversial practice does more harm than good for prisoners that will eventually re-enter society. The high-security facility at the ACI in Cranston houses the state's worst of the worst. Restrictive housing or segregation is primarily used in inmate disciplinary cases. in a cell for 23 hours a day, a prison within a prison.
We've got some folks from the media here.
Department of Corrections Director A.T. Wall gave Target 12 unfettered access to disciplinary confinement facilities.
That's fine.
We met with inmates.
I was booked for narcotics trafficking.
For inmates,
Mental health professionals, and correctional officers.
You can look through and you can see and talk to the other people. We encourage them, to foster interpersonal skills.
Once a day for 1 hour, inmates in disciplinary confinement are usually let out in this caged outdoor area for rec time, normally 5 days a week. We're told the prison doesn't have the funding to do this on weekends.
Like, there's a lot of people in the general population, so you get kind of nervous around groups.
Yeah.
They don't have the funding to let you get a rec on weekends. So you gotta suffer because they don't want to have the manpower. When your people, their taxes are paying for these facilities, right? They open up private prisons and they staff the guards, right? They don't have the proper staffing for weekends. So like I said, it's every other day you get a rec time. So if you get a rec on Monday, you get it on Wednesday, you get it on Friday, you don't get it now until Monday again. So you're in there Saturday, Sunday. If the week breaks up, where you get your phone call on Friday, your shower, I'm sorry. If you get your shower on Friday instead of your rec, now you go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday without being out of your cell. You can't move around. You're in a little cell. If you happen to have a cellmate, you're forced to improvise for your mind to stay clear. When you get your milk, your food tray, you'll rip it in half and you'll take the four sides off to make a card game. You'll make cards, if you can get yourself a pen. And a lot of times when the tier runners, they come by, they sweep the unit down. They may be in the working unit, so they go down to segregation and they sweep. Wash the tiers, wash the floors. A lot of times, your people that you left in the unit, they'll try and get you down there some coffee. They'll try and get you down there a pen. Things like that. So when you're in there, if they can sneak you your radio, and some batteries. But if you get caught with it, it's more time in seg. They tack on days. Right away, if you're in a fight, if you're not the aggressor, you get 60 days automatically. Right? For a fight. Don't forget, you're in there for 2 or 3 days before you even see the disciplinary board. They call it a D board, right? So you're already in there for a couple of days before you see the D board. So your 60 day turns into a 63, 64 day, bid, right? In the hole. When you're in there by yourself, there's nothing to do. You can only sleep so many hours. You can only sleep so many days in a row. There's people that come in straight off the street. In my case, I come in. I was there for 2 days. Another inmate was trying to set me up to have my people send them money and rob me for fake drugs. I was trying to get drugs for a friend of mine he was sick. The kid tried pulling a gang member. It was a whole big story. That's another story for another time, but so we hit him. I hit him, right? Now I'm telling you, just come off the streets 2 days. You don't get canteen, like I said, when you're down there. If you don't like what's on the menu, you don't eat. You're forced to start eating things like porridge and tasteless mashed potatoes and things of that nature. You're forced to eat things that you don't like. because you'll die in there. You'll wither yourself, you know. When you're in the unit, when you go to chow line, you might be able to get somebody else's cake. Or if they don't like the bologna or the chicken patty, you might be able to trade it off or something. When you're in the hole, there's no trading off food. You know, the CO's not going to come and pass a tray. Hey, can you give this cake down to cell 3? No, they're not like that. You know, it's horrible. That's not even getting into the mind games that it plays with yourself. When you start hallucinating and hearing things. And then people act up. They act up. They'll kick the cell. You're on the side of them. An argument breaks out. They start kicking the door. They kick the door. They kick the door. The guy comes down. They give you another 10 days in there. You go down in a hole for 60 days, 90 days. It turns into 5 months. It turns into 8 months. Because the more you act up in there, the more time they give you. But the more time you're there, the more you act up. Because your mind's going. You forget what days are in there. You forget how many days you're in there. If you're fortunate enough to count the sun up and down, if you get a window, some cells don't even get the window. It's torture. It's human torture.
Yeah. And stuff like that.
That's where we met this inmate, who prison officials asked us not to identify. He's been in segregation for 1 year after getting caught selling narcotics inside prison walls. He's on the cusp of getting out of segregation and back into general population.
And do you feel like you're getting the help to transition back into general population?
Yes.
You are.
But, like, all right, so, yes, there's help, and...
So he's going to say yes because he knows that they're recording. And he knows that the jail is there and they're in charge. You've seen the superintendent come down and say, we got news cameras here. And they're going to ask you some questions about segregation. You know, off camera, you know what he said? Go ahead, give a bad word. Give a bad remark. You'll be buried here. And they'll literally bury you down there. You don't come out. You don't get visits. You don't get your phone call. The only call you can get down in segregation is an attorney call. So you're saying I need an attorney call just to get out and call so you can hear something, so you can talk to somebody. You tell my wife I'm all set. You know, tell my kids I'm good. You know, I'm in the hole. Other than that, they got no way of knowing. They'll show up on a visit on your visiting day, and they'll get a notice from the CO. Oh. Your loved one is just not going to be attending the visit. They're in segregation. They don't tell you for what. So now your loved ones are home for a month or two, wondering, what are you in the hole for? They have no idea. Why did you act up? What are you down there for? They have no idea.
But how do you help? I don't know how to help by me, like, feeling nervous to go back. Not because of anybody, not because of safety, because it's safe. I know it's safe.
Yeah.
They do their job. They keep us all safe, but, like, just having...
They don't keep you safe. Boy, he's talking it up good for the prison. They don't keep you safe. You're on your own. You do 90 days, 4 months, 5 months in a hole. They put you back in population. You now get into you left the unit because you got into a fight with somebody, right? So now, when you go back, providing there's no keep away, you might run into the same guy you got into a fight with. Even if he has a keep away or you have a keep away, when you get back to the unit, his homeboy or his gang member, his brother, if he's not in the unit, he's going to wait there. So as soon as you get out, you're out a day, you're out 8 hours, you're back into another fight. You're back down in segregation. You've been down there for 6 months, you get into a fight, now you're back down there for another 6. You end up doing a year, 2 years, you get buried down there. You know, there are people that, when they go to the hole, they create tickets. They swear at the cop. They make a mess. They kick. They They'll make piss bombs or shit bombs. And what do you do with that? You get the milk container, your little milk jug, and you keep it in a corner and you piss in it and you'll shit in it. And when the cop comes, you call him over to the door, CO, CO. And you put it underneath the door, and as soon as he comes up, what's up? You step on it so it splats out at him. Now he's got shit all over him, and it's they come in, they rush in, they give you a beating, but you're back down there now for another 6 months. Dudes will do that when they're scared to go back to the unit. They'll keep creating tickets. But the longer they're down there, they're not getting stabbed or beat up or in a fight, but they're losing their mind. And they end up with mental problems, psychiatric problems, because it's the only way you can keep yourself safe. They don't keep you safe. When you get back to the unit, it's a green light. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. They keep you safe.
I have anxiety issues, like, of being in crowds, so
Right.
I don't know how to, like, fix that.
There's step downs where you'll be participating in groups. So there will be more and more people with whom you interact. And when you get back to general population, it won't be going from A to Z.
Yeah.
You will have gone through those steps.
The most that they'll do is if you are in seg and seg is filled up, right? There's no room down there. If you're 2-3 days at the end of your segregation stay, they'll put you back into general population and they'll keep you locked in your room for 3 days, 4 days, so. But you get your radio back. You're in the unit. You're talking to people. So they'll call it a step-down program, but it's not. You're still locked down in your unit. You can't go out. You get fed in your cell. Like I say, if you have a cellmate, maybe you can play cards or chess, or you can start to acclimate to general population. But there's no programs to say Big Will's getting out in a week. He's getting out in 2 weeks. Let's start running him into reintegration into general population, so he can be accustomed and acclimated to the practices of general population again. No, they don't. No, they do not. You're in a hole. When it comes time, they shackle you and walk you back to your unit. And then when you're there, like I say, if you don't do your whole time in the cell in seg, you'll get out 2 or 3 days earlier. You're locked in your cell for 3 days. Which is even more. You're locked in your cell and your cellmate gets to go out, or you see everybody going out to rec and they're out enjoying the TV in the day room, and you're still locked down. It eats at you. It eats at you. And you start getting shitty with the CO. You start calling them names. You're threatening someone else for talking them out on the phone next to your cell. So you get yourself into trouble. Your time ends, you come out, you get into a fight, you're back down seg,
Steps.
What was that year like?
That year,
Torture.
I lost my mind.
Former inmate Edwin Rivera admits he was a problem prisoner while serving time for murder at the ACI and found himself locked up in segregation several times.
Yeah, we should get punished if we do a crime. Go to segregation, do a little time. But do a year in segregation, it kills us inside of us.
Segregation is particularly tricky for inmates with mental illness. The Department of Corrections says 15 to 17% of all inmates have what they deem serious and persistent mental illness.
But to stick a man in a cell.
Some do find themselves in segregation, though Director A.T. Wall claims they have waived disciplinary confinement for mentally ill inmates.
Wouldn't want you to think, or the public to think, that people are simply brought into these situations without a good reason, that they are not being dealt with and treated while they're here, and that they're being kept for no good reason. We're more professional than that.
On the day Target 12 was given a tour, we were told there were 165 inmates in restrictive housing.
Kind of.
Prison officials say as of now, the longest-serving inmate in segregation has been there for 3 years.
How many?
We have to have a place to put those who
3 years. 3 years. It's over 1,000 days inside of segregation, not knowing what to do with yourself, coming out of yourself a wreck 3 times a week for 1 hour, and you come out the other 2 for a 15-minute shower, and then you're locked back in 23 hours and 45 minutes. Tomorrow, you're in your cell 23 hours. The next day, 23 hours and 45 minutes. Some places will give you an opportunity to choose. Do you want a phone call today? Or do you want your rec? But the thing is, they can't let everybody out and rec at the same time because there's only so many cages, you know. And it'll be the top tier comes out and then the bottom tier. So 9, 11, 13, 15, they'll all come out. So 1, 3, they all come out on a different day. Odds one day, evens the next. You know, it's the COs, they'll come around and do a check every 2 hours, 3 hours, unless you're banging on the door. Every 4 hours. You don't come out of your cell, so they don't have to do nothing. So they sit back, kick their feet up on the desk, and they go to YouTube. They go to Facebook. They go to Instagram. Or someone's sitting in their cell hanging because they lost their mind and they're pressed from being in a hole. And getting another 10 days for kicking the door. And getting another 10 days for calling the CO or BITCH. And getting another 10 days when he walks up and says, "You're a punk. You know, suck my..." He can say whatever he wants to you. But when you say it back, there's another 10-day ticket. There's another 5-day ticket. Go to the D board. Whoa, what are you out there calling the CO or BITCH for? Man, I was telling him it's time for my shower. I've been waiting. You don't want to listen. Well, it's going to cost you another 5 days, you know. You need to respect the COs. And he walked up to my cell and called me at first. No, it couldn't have happened that way. You have to be guilty. You're the inmate. So that's how we play. You know, that's the way they are.
Those who prey on others, who are disruptive in very serious ways with severe consequences, we have to put them in a place that separates them from the rest of the institution so that the institution will be safe.
Some lawmakers want to put strict limits on when and how long prison officials can use segregation. New at 6, the debate, what both sides say changes would mean to prison safety. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
New details now in a Target 12 investigators exclusive inside solitary. We were given exclusive access to the high security facility at the state's prison. A first-hand look at how some problem inmates are kept alone in a cell for 23 hours a day. New at 6, the head of the ACI reacts to a bill that would put strict limits on how and when inmates are placed into restrictive housing. Target 12 investigator Tim White got access to segregation units at the ACI. He's here now with the details.
You cannot let these prisons make their own rules. You need laws to say how long you can keep somebody buried away in a hole, forgotten about.
Details.
Advocates for change say inmates put into segregation may come out worse than when they went in, but prison officials here at the ACI say it's not the depiction of the hole you're used to seeing in the movies.
It's worse.
Don't call it solitary confinement, to Department of Corrections Director A.T. Wall.
We struggle to make ourselves understood when people latch onto the term solitary confinement or segregation. We don't think it reflects our practices here.
These cells at the ACI's high security are for inmates who officials say
But to stick a man in a cell.
need to be separated from the prison's general population. Locked up 23 hours a day, most for disciplinary violations. Monday through Friday, inmates in restrictive housing are supposed to be let out.
If you're an atheist, you're allowed to have the Bible. If you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, or you don't believe in the devil, or if you're a Muslim and they give you a Bible, we don't have a Quran. Now you're screwed. You can't get books. You can't get magazines. You can't get... Some places will let you get the newspaper. That's the other way that you keep track of the date. You know, some places will give you the newspaper. In the morning, it goes in the bottom tier. In the afternoon, it goes in the top tier. And it's the workers, the runners that, you know, pass out the newspaper and stuff, right? But the newspaper goes around, and the guy before you rips out the horoscope. Or he rips out the crossword of Sudoku, right? Now you get it and you're infuriated because you can't read your horoscope. It starts an argument and a fight, and they're threatening this one and threatening that one, and next thing you know, you got another 10 days. This guy, he's getting out. Right? He's only got 1 day left. But because you're over there calling him this and threatening him, and you get 10 days, he's going home. With a Sudoku, right? Come on, man. It's designed to bury you and keep you down there. Oh, you're a troubled inmate? We have trouble with you all the time, dupers, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the hole, and we're going to bury you down there. And there's places, if you are in the hole, and you wrap up out of the hole, right? Your sentence ends. So you wrap up your bit out of the hole, but you still got 6 months left. If you come back within a year, or if you come back within 6 months of wrapping up your sentence, you don't start back out in general population. Some places you'll come back and they'll put you right into the hole. And you'll finish in the hole. You'll start your bit off in the hole. Finish in the last 6 months that you still owe to jail. Oh, he owes us. He owes us. He'll be back. And when he comes back, this is where he's starting his bid. In the hole. It's so unfair.
Out into this caged-in rec area outside their cells for 1 hour.
Might not be widely known.
This former inmate, who asked not to be named, has spent time in segregation, once for fighting.
Oh, my
Prison,
neighbor, here's my face.
it's not like it is out here. It's difficult, you know. Sometimes you can't just walk away.
He says he thinks segregation gets in the way of rehabilitation.
I wouldn't want somebody who had been in seg for 5 years and wraps up their sentence from segregation, moving into the house next to mine. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want that.
The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture to designate the use of solitary over 15 days as amounting to torture, and we're doing that. The state of Rhode Island is doing that every day to our citizens at the ACI.
State Representative Aaron Regenberg has filed legislation that would dramatically alter the use of segregation. The bill calls for a cap of no more than 15 days in most cases that an inmate can be placed in disciplinary confinement, and limits who can be locked away.
It should be. You know, if you're having a disagreement with the CO, he's going to do things to lock you down. He's going to take this away. He's going to give you a ticket so you can't come out of rec and call your wife, or you know, he's going to take your TV privilege away so you can't go out in the day room and watch the TV. They're going to do that to you. So you as an inmate, you're going to get pissed off. You're going to flood your cell. Or you're going to pop your sprinkler. So on top of paying for the sprinkler, now you get locked down in segregation for 6 months. 15 days is good. He's punished. He's locked down 15 days. You want to bury him and bury him and bury him for flooding the toilet? No, it's not right.
There are ways that we can be addressing the behavioral issues, the mental health issues that send folks to segregation more humanely and more effectively.
There are some people for whom a couple of days is sufficient and as much as they can handle. There are others for whom 15 days is not enough. They continue to be angry, predatory, violent.
A.T. Wall says the Department of Corrections is examining their policies and procedures regarding restrictive housing and may make changes, but he opposes putting anything into law.
We can't simply open the doors because a statute has said this is the limit of time we can.
You don't want to put it in law because when they get pissed at somebody and they say, oh yeah, you think 15 days? Nah, you're going for a year. You can't do that because they'll get sued. They're opening up the door for lawsuits. So we don't want it in law. But we'll put it in law. If you get caught with drugs in a school zone, you automatically get 5 years. We'll put that in law. Right? But to work in the favor of the inmate, we can't put it in law. We just can't simply open the doors.
And hold you. If something happens, we're responsible.
Right now, we're told the longest...
But they're not responsible when they're holding you too long and you hang yourself in the cell. That's not their fault. He just had more problems than we knew about. Come on, man. Come on.
Longest serving inmate in administrative confinement has been there for 3 years. And A.T. Wall tells us because of their step-down programs, it is very rare that a prisoner in segregation is released right to freedom. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
They don't give you an opportunity to go see a counselor. They don't have mental health coming to see you when you're in the hole to talk to you. Why was you acting up? What was going on in your life? Did someone from home set you off? Did you hear bad news? Was you being extorted? What is the problem? They don't have that where you can talk it over and get it out and help yourself, express yourself. What's the issue? They don't have them programs. You're in trouble. So you're gonna go sit in the hole by yourself, like a bad little boy sitting in the corner. And when your day is up, you'll come out and you'll go back to your unit and be pissed off to start more trouble and come back. I don't know. I think the 15-day law that they're trying to do is a good thing for these jails that take advantage of the lock you up and lock you up and lock you up and keep going. Now, with that being said, certain things, if you rape somebody or if you're in jail and you rape somebody or you sexually assault them, if you SA somebody, if you slice somebody, if you hit them up in jail, yeah, I see you getting more than 15 days. But to the average inmate that has had a fist fight with the next cellmate because they were doing it when they were teenagers or kids and they've always had a grudge, does it call for a year or two in jail? In segregation? On top of being in jail? I don't think so. But let me know what you all think. It's your decision, not mine. I gave you my opinion. I think they take advantage of segregation, and it scientifically, medically been shown that it breaks people's minds and drives them crazy. And there's no rehabilitation at that point. It's only making things worse. And prison officials say, we don't care how much it makes it worse. As long as Mr. Dupress is sitting in the cell, locked away in a hole, getting his 3 meals a day, only because we're required by law to give it to him. That's as much as, as long as that's happening, we're good. But to send a nurse, a psych doctor, someone down there, we don't want that. 15-day cap, we can't have that. That's not helping us. But let me know what you all think. It's your boy Big Will. We're going to see you on the next one. Life After Prison TV. We'll see you. Peace.